These two stages took me 10 hours to complete in Arknights WDEX-A and the CM version of that. We're going to be going ahead and breaking those down today, so let's go ahead and jump into it. So jumping into the EX version of the stage, I'm going to put Lopuma in the middle. She's going to be my lane holder for a little bit. I'm going to have a little bit of help here in a minute for her. But Myrtle's going to go out for DP gen, and then we're going to pop her skill, and then we're going to get the old Flame Tail out. Now I have Flame Tail facing up here, and this is going to help out with Lopuma here in a little bit, just a little bit. It's not going to help out like a ton, but there's eventually enemies that kind of go into the right side of Lopuma right in front of Flame Tail. She's just able to help out a little bit of extra there. And then Lapland is going to go out cross section there towards the right, just to kind of mitigate some of the issues with the middle lane, as well as holding off on that left side to help a little bit of the filtering system for the Lopuma, so she's not getting overwhelmed. The Thorns is going to go out on the left side. He's going to be able to kind of be my middle or my left lane keeper for the most part there and deal with the UFO. I do have Silence here on the team. I think Silence is actually a pretty good healer. I like the way that she's used, and I honestly just think that the overall drone is very, very useful in my opinion when it comes to like these niche issues. When you have a full roster of team and you can't necessarily get two healers out, it's just nice to be able to heal, you know, across map and stuff like that if you need it. Now, going into kind of the next little stage here, we're going to have Radiant Knight come out. She is going to be facing right towards the middle. And the reason for that is because I do not want her to hit these guys more than enough unless she has her skill 3. So she's on skill 3. I need her to get that before she starts hitting, because these guys get a buff. After that, at like 50% health, I think, they get a little bit of an attack buff, and they end up just wrecking Radiant Knight unless she has her skill 3 and she's able to like pop them. Basically, we want to be able to do a lot of damage rather quickly. Surtur, we don't have to worry about, of course, because that is literally her middle name is, you know, damage quickly, and we're just able to wipe out that right side. We're going to immediately get rid of Surtur after that. Want to make sure that she has her cooldown ready to go in case I need her. And then we're going to have Radiant Knight pop her skill as soon as I'm able to do so. You can see that the bear's there, but it doesn't really matter because she's just pretty much going to pop that guy real quick, and then we'll just kind of let it play. Now, she doesn't necessarily need to be there to bait the UFO because obviously Thorns is down there, and it doesn't really matter too much because he's not in the proximity. But that is kind of what's going on with that. I put out the Silence Heal to just keep her alive a little bit longer because obviously she's dealing with a lot of damage there. And then I put out Mud after this caster walks by. So this caster down here next to Silence, this guy was being kind of an issue before I was putting Flame Tail up. And that is because Lopuma unfortunately can't 1v1 this guy. So I was putting Mudrock before, but then Mudrock would get overwhelmed. And so we figured out that putting the Flame Tail facing towards Lopuma was kind of the best option here. So you can see he's probably going to get his crap wrecked pretty quickly, and we're going to be able to have a healthy Lopuma here. I got rid of Radiant Knight because her skill ran out, and the guy up there he still has some health, so Thorns is going to have to kill him eventually, but it's enough to pretty much help out Thorns to be able to do the UFO damage as well as kill him when it needs to be. Now Mudrock is going to be 1v1ing Emperor's Blade. She is on skill 3, and that is mainly because skill 2 was doing too much damage. She was proc his domain, and she would die too fast and everything would just start going. So basically what she's doing is just kind of hanging out with the dude, hopefully doing a little bit of damage. She does end up doing more damage than I kind of need her to do anyway. She's not able to kind of hold out for very long without end up getting him to the point where he pops his domain, but it is enough time nonetheless to help me out. Now this caster is going to walk down in Thorns, a little area there, but it's not enough to really make me mad, I guess, because the UFO is going to die. I do pop out the drone for Silence just to help out, just in case. Lapland dies there, but she didn't. And then the left side, Thorns is going to deal with that guy. So this is kind of what I was talking about with Radiant Knight. Unfortunately, Thorns takes a little bit of damage here, a little bit more than I want. I do put out the Ling out here preemptively, and that's just going to be able to get her dragons out. Now, the main reason that I'm actually using Ling here at skill 2 instead of skill 3 is because I was having DP issues towards the end, and I was just not being able to reliably get her skill 3 dragons out. So I was just kind of trying to get these little guys out to deal with a lot of the early on issues, like some of these guys that are standing here. Now I was making the mistake, and then this is kind of the mistake that I made very early on, is I was using these dragons to help Mudrock, and that literally went against what I was trying to do, because obviously Emperor Blade would get to a point where his health was down and then he'd proc his domain. So what I decided to do after that was just started to kind of point it up way so that I could deal with the caster and the guy standing up there to do a little bit of damage, because we do not want these guys coming out at the same time. And then this caster coming down, of course, he's just going to be kind of dealt with the dragon, going to help out a little bit. Now he's not going to walk into Flame Tail's little area, so unfortunately I think Lopuma dies here, and then I end up putting out Heavy Rain here in a second. But I'm trying to do as much damage as I humanly can to him just to kind of get him out of the way. Yeah, like I said, Heavy Rain goes out to help out a little bit. And then I'm going to pop out the dragon. Now you can see that this little guy up here at the top, I can't remember their name, Emperor or something, the knight guy, he's going to be walking towards me. He's not somebody I really want to deal with. So I'm going to try to get this caster out as fast as I can. And then I'm going to try to hold him into place so that Thorns can do a little bit of damage there. And you can see that I'm kind of just positioning the dragons from this point on to kind of get him to a point where he's proccing the dragons. And then I'm able to use the half HP thing that Link can do with her skill 2. And unfortunately, what makes me mad about watching this run back is that initially what I was trying to do with skill 3 as well with Mudrock is there's a position where if you time it exactly right, which is right when that happened, I was able to actually skill 3 and then have Mudrock come out swinging and she was able to stay alive, but I misplayed it at this run. But the reason that I didn't go ahead and restart at this point is because we can actually continue to do the rest of the round and we end up winning. So I didn't really go back and do it, but the initial plan was to actually use skill 3 for Mudrock in kind of like a, you know, turtle structure, I guess, for her to like bend down and then use his domain thing and then her just go to town and kind of hit him. So now we're just throwing kind of the kitchen sink at this guy to kind of get his phase 1 down because we have a different plan. And then I'm also trying to make sure that heavy rain doesn't die to this dude, because at this point that guy is at 50% less HP or whatever, so he's going to just be doing the max amount of damage. Radiant Knight's going to go out to help out with her skill. And then unfortunately I do end up losing heavy rain there. And then I think I have to kind of just try to deal with as much damage as I possibly can to this dude. And then I put Blim and Shine out as well. So Radiant Knight's going to be sitting there doing her thing, trying to get her stuff ready. And I'm just kind of holding on to Emperor Blade there to get him past his phase 1, basically. Now Radiant Knight is hopefully going to be able to do a lot of damage to his phase 2. And then we're also dealing with the domain stuff. So we're trying to get to a point where we can proc his domain in spots that we want it to be, because it's not fun. It's not a fun gimmick. I ended up letting Lapland die, unfortunately. And now I'm just kind of trying to get my dragons out so that he doesn't proc Ling. And I have no idea that I have a drone until like the last second. I'm like, oh yeah, I have a drone. So now I'm sitting here and I think I actually used the dragon when he was invincible. So that was kind of unfortunate. And then we're going to pop it. Then we're going to pop Radiant Knight here. And we're going to be able to do quite a bit of damage. Honestly, this is a little bit of damage that we're trying to make sure that the domain went over here. And I was hoping that it wasn't going to go on Thorns, but unfortunately it did. So I was like, damn, I got to get rid of Thorns. And then we're just kind of waiting. So now we're actually in a decent spot. Believe it or not, we're actually in a decent spot because we have Silence out. We have a DP gen and we have our Blim and Shine, which is able to do quite a bit to help us out here. But the main idea I'm trying to think is like, okay, so do I Surtur her now and try to get the domain to proc over here because he still has one more domain, or do I try to do something where I can maybe bait it in some other way? So we finally decide, you know what, okay, I'm going to do Surtur. I'm going to get her out and I'm just going to do as much damage as I humanly can here. And I'm just going to try to help out. I think I throw out a drone as well, just to make sure that she stays alive for a second. I mean, it's not going to be much, but we're able to do a little bit of damage here. And honestly, I should have done this differently, but I wanted to make sure that the actual domain didn't go into where the blue box was, because that was an issue that I was kind of having. And you can see it's like right in front of Blemishine's door basically. And I think at this point I honestly probably could have baited it a little bit differently, because initially I was having it in the bottom right corner, but this is where it's like I was getting kind of worried. I was getting into panic mode. I was honestly just like, okay, I need to keep everybody alive as long as I humanly can. And I put a lot of faith into Blim and Shine here to 1v1 this dude. And it doesn't work out for very long. So here we are. We're letting Silence do her thing. I have my drone. So actually it can last quite a while. I'm like, La Pluma, get out. And we're going to have Myrtle get out for some DP. You can tell that I put La Pluma in kind of a dumber spot, I guess, but it's okay. I'm just trying to get as much damage as I humanly can here. But we'll just kind of skip ahead here a little bit, because I eventually stand here and I'm like, okay, what do I need to do? Do I need to like bait? Do I need to kind of figure out what I'm doing? Because I've gotten, at this point, I know what happens after him. I have defeated him, but I have not defeated the 5 enemies after this point. So I knew that I couldn't throw everything at him, because I knew that I had to kind of worry about what was going to go on next. So I'm like, you know what? Blim and Shine, she's just going to have to tank it. And I'm going to have to either put out Mudrock or something else, or Heavy Rain or something like that. I'm gonna have to keep rotating people, because I have Radiant Knight on the back burner. I'm gonna try to get Surtur out here in a little bit to deal with those 5 enemies, and this ends up not going very well, because I actually thought Radiant Knight had a chance, to be honest. So I end up saying, okay, you know what, he's already procced his little sword thing, he's about to kill her. And I actually had hope with the drone and just Blim and Shine being Blim and Shine. I was really hoping that she would stay alive here, and that's not what happens. She gets one shot. He literally goes whoop, whoop, and he kills her. And then I'm like, ah, well, that sucks. So then I was like, okay, you know what? we're gonna do Radiant Knight. I'm just gonna get Radiant Knight out. So I pop Radiant Knight out, and I was actually pretty hopeful that she'll be able to do enough damage, but she, again, just like her sister, gets one-shotted there, and then I just kind of start throwing the sink. I do put Mudrock out. Mudrock gets one-shotted, and at this point, the dude has 1 HP. So I put Heavy Rain out, and this point, I actually put Ling out to do damage to him, yes, but also to be able to have the dragons, which is why initially, if in case you guys are wondering why I didn't just put Ling out at the beginning, is because I wanted to Ling out to deal with this, because I knew that I would have to buy time to get my DP up and to get some of these units back. So I knew that I could bind and kind of deal with kind of slowing them down a little bit with the dragons with Ling, which is why I wasn't putting out like that quick, because I was afraid that she would die or something. I'm kind of talking about the structure which I want to do, and then kind of trying to figure out if I want to keep Heavy Rain out, if I want to bait somebody else and pull them out eventually, because I'm not going to actually use Heavy Rain the way that she's supposed to be used here. But I pop out a dragon for Ling just to kind of slow down these two on the left. So these two on the left are going to be kind of coming, and my idea is to actually have Heavy Rain stay here, and what I'm going to have them do, these three in the middle are going to come up to kind of this spot here, and then I'm going to sort her across. That was the idea for me to be able to do that, and I needed Ling to kind of slow it down a little bit just so I had enough DP, because at the end of that, I'm also going to need to turn around and deal with these bottom lanes as well. And I didn't at this point really know who could tank these guys, so I was a little bit nervous on who could actually 1v1 and kind of go the toe to toe with these dudes. And so I was like, okay, I want to make sure I get my Blim out. So here I'm just kind of playing a little bit of defensive, and I'm just trying to kind of get everybody to stay alive as long as I can so I can get my DP for Blim, and then also to get, you know, Radiant Knight and stuff like that when I need her. So now we're just kind of hanging out, and the reason I hadn't used Flame Tail up until this point was because I was hoping her dodge would be able to kind of hang out with this guy at the bottom right. So here we go. Now is game time. Surtur is going to kill these three up here, which is actually a really cool idea, and it worked out. Nice. Now Blim is going to 1v1 this dude, and he's going to go toe to toe. So basically what ends up happening after that, though, is these guys here actually end up killing my Heavy Rain, unfortunately, right as Surtur kills this guy, and I don't have enough time to kill that guy with Surtur. So now I'm like, oh shit, now I don't have any DP. Now I got to put out Radiant Knight. But Radiant Knight's on skill 3, so I'm like, okay, well, I can put Radiant Knight out, and I can put her down facing towards the box, and she'll do kind of her like V thing with her ult, and hopefully be able to hit the guys on the bottom anyway. This will work out, but I am a little bit nervous on the DP here, because I'm like, well, am I going to be able to get, you know, what is it, like 4 more DP, 3 more DP before this guy walks into the box? We figured out, like, yes, we're going to, just because he's going to stop and shoot Blimmy, which gives me just the amount of time that I need. Radiant Knight sits on his head, and that's all he wrote. And then we're kind of like, okay, you know what? Next thing to do here is we're just going to wait until we can get out Surtur. Now, hopefully, Flametail is able to go the distance, because she does have the healer. So Silence is able to kind of keep up with her healing, as well as the drone thing that I have going on. So basically, every single time I'm able to get a drone, I pop it out, and Flametail is able to hang out. So this is kind of the bread and butter for now until I get Surtur out. So not much actually changes. I actually have Radiant Knight's skill, but at this point, since we're going to go with Surtur, I was like, you know what? I'll just wait. And if I need the skill at the very end, say that they're closing in on the box because for whatever reason Surtur doesn't work, I'll be able to use Radiant Knight's skill for a backup. And then I'm like, okay, get rid of Flame Tail, face left towards Blim on the Surtur, and then I'll be able to do the damage I need to do. And then that's pretty much it. So then I use Radiant Knight just for the fun of it, just because I can, and then I complete it. So it's a little bit of a, at the end, it was a little bit of a scramble, but we definitely got it going for the EX stages. So let's go ahead and move into the CM. Alrighty, so moving into the CM version of EX-8, the only real big difference here is that I decided to borrow Silver Ash. To be 100% honest, at this point, I was just kind of done going through this. I think at this point, we're about 9-ish hours in of just doing this stage, the EX version and the CM. And I was like, you know what? I'm just done. I'm going to use Silver Ash. So we pop out Silver Ash where Lupluma was initially, because we did kind of forgo those 3 tiles in the middle. And Silver Ash is just able to kind of clean out the first couple of waves here. So we don't have to really worry about positioning anybody right from the get-go. Able to get my Myrtle out for the extra DP there. Not much actually changes from the overall stance between this and EX, because I am going to have everybody kind of come out in the same fashion. I'm even going to have Flametail come out the way that she does. And then the Thorns is also going to go there to the left. Now, Thorns is not going to be able to do nearly enough damage to that UFO, unfortunately, just because everybody gets a little bit of a buff in CM. But we're going to be able to figure that out here in a minute. So, I honestly don't use Silver Ash to its full potential. I have not used Silver Ash very often. But now we're kind of going through like, okay, what do I need to get in the middle? We get Heavy Rain out in the middle. We're going to pop over here. We get Lupuma facing left. And then I'm going to put Lapland facing left as well. Actually, yeah, I'm pretty sure she faced left as well, just to help out with the Lupuma as well as the Heavy Rain there. And then Silence is going to go all the way back there. Now, again, the interesting part about Silence is she's able to have the drone. So having her all the way over there, really only doing stuff for Lupuma and the Flametail is not ideal, but her drone's going to be able to help out. And then we're going to have the same basic plan here with the Radiant Knight. And then Surtur is going to be kind of right there at the end. It's a little bit of a DP strain here for me because I had to put out a lot more units than I typically would at the very beginning. But yeah, we get it done. We get it done over here on the right. No problem with Surtur, of course. She's just able to do what she needs to do. And then we have a little bit of a problem with Radiant Knight because she's just not able to do nearly enough damage really that she was kind of doing beforehand. But I do put Silver Ash facing left, and the idea behind this is to actually help with the drone, because up until this point I was having issues with the drone. But I was like, okay, I don't want to put him out preemptively because I know that the drone stays there for a little bit. And the first time that I actually put him out, I put him out there way too early, and the dude was just chilling for so long, and it was just unfortunate. So I was actually able to deal with one of those guys up there at the left, but the other guy's going to be full HP. And again, we're going to kind of do the same here with Mudrock. We're going to have her come out and just hang out with the Emperor here. And then we're going to have a little bit of issue with this caster. So this caster, if you may recognize this boy, he was the one giving us a little bit of a hard time with Lupuma. But luckily we have a dedicated heal as well as drone. We're going to keep Lupuma alive long enough to do what she needs to do. I put the drone in kind of a dumb spot because now I was like, okay, well now I can't put my Silver Ash out. Which is kind of the unfortunate part about her drone. Unfortunately, just the fact that like if you put her out and you don't think about it beforehand, you kind of take up a slot in some cases. Now I'm going to go ahead and get Myrtle back out just because I want to make sure to get DP as we're going here. I don't want to waste any of my DP, and I don't want to get rid of any DP because I'm going to need it at the end here. So now we're just kind of hanging out, decided what we're going to kind of do because I know that Thorns is going to be able to do enough damage. So I'm like, okay, do I need to put out Silver Ash in order to do more damage to the UFO? If I do that, does it actually make a difference? And then I'm just like, you know what, screw it, I'm just gonna go ahead and do it. So I'm pretty sure that I popped the DP, and then I'm like, okay, here we go, we're gonna pop out Silver Ash. He's gonna deal with the drone. I was not having a fun time with the drone. It was kicking my butt and the CM's part of it. So I went ahead and got rid of him, and now you can see that the guy on the left here is gonna be walking up to Thorns. I'm like, okay, well, initially I was having him just walk up to Thorns and see if Thorns could 1v1 him. Well, by the way, he can't, at least not in the CM anyway, and at least not my Thorns because he's not maxed out. So I put Blemmy down here to help out, kind of alleviate some of the issues there. And then I put my Ling out over here to kind of get the dragons ready and stuff like that. So I think Blemmy actually ends up dying. If I remember correctly, I totally forget about her, and I put the drone at like the last second. I think she gets smacked and killed, which is unfortunate because every single time that a unit dies, I lose the DP for it. And then again, we're going to have the same kind of thing that we were doing initially, using the dragons to try to do as much as we can to everybody surrounding. Therefore, we can be able to kind of deal with just Emperor Blade here in a minute. So we're kind of hanging out. I actually may, if I remember correctly, I may actually time Mudrock's skill correctly here. You may have noticed that I mentioned that in the previous run, but I don't think I do. It was such a good idea, and I was so mad that I forgot to do it. I was so mad that I kept forgetting to do it, but there was so much to worry about, especially on the CM stuff, because it was kind of a bummer to take those like 5 tiles, because those are literally the tiles I was using the most, and I was like, damn it. So you can see that I actually procs his domain, and that's when I should have thought like, oh yeah, skill 3, and I didn't. I was so bent on this left side because I just didn't want this guy to get to a point where he could kill my Ling, and that's what I was kind of afraid of. So now I kind of get rid of everybody, and I think I get rid of Lapland as well, just because I don't want Lapland to die. And then we put out a drone for Silence there because I want to keep her alive. I need to keep her alive because I need to have the drone. And then I go ahead and face the Silver Ash that way. Hide for whatever reason. I don't even know why I really I don't know why I did that with Heavy Rain. I was using Heavy Rain so wrong. I'll tell you that right now. For everybody that's going to be watching this back, they're going to be like, why did you use Heavy Rain like that? I don't know, bro. I was never really like I never really totally got the idea behind her cloak and like when to use it at the appropriate time. I could definitely use it for like the domain tricks and trying to kind of like bait out Emperor Blade's domain, but I never really use it that way. Now here I got a little bit nervous because now you can see that that guy's actually walking towards blue box. I have no way of blocking him because I already let him go too far. I put Blemmy out as like a Well, hopefully I can grab him, and I couldn't. But Silver Ash is Silver Ash, so Silver Ash does what Silver Ash does. And he was able to kill him, and I was able to kind of go away scot-free on that one. And then I kind of retreat everybody in the middle here after healing Ling. Because now I get my Radiant Knight out. We're going to go... This is kind of the idea. I'm like, okay, well, we got to this point, and this is kind of what I did last time. So let's go ahead and get going. And I kind of bait out a little bit on the invincibility, which I think at this point I should have got rid of everybody. I don't know what I'm doing, to be 100% honest. Watching this back, sometimes you watch back your gameplay and you're like, kind of like, why did I keep Blimmy out for so long? I think the idea was to get rid of his overall, like, what is it, invulnerable, like being invincible, and then just trying to be able to kind of get Radiant Knight ready. I was a little bit of afraid that she maybe wouldn't be ready by the time he walked over. So actually, in the grand scheme of things, maybe past Zach's a little smarter than I am right now, because this wasn't bad. I actually did a decent amount of damage. I did have a little bit of luck on Blimmy having kind of extra heals there with the silence, as well as her own heals, as well as the drone. But yeah, we're able to do quite a bit there. I popped the skill again for no reason, because she's being blocked by him, so of course he can see her. And then we're just trying to do as much as I possibly can to get this guy to like chill out. So the same idea is going to go through here, though, is I'm going to try to make sure that the Ling doesn't get targeted here. So I'm just going to kind of pop out dragons to make sure his little walk is, you know, procced by the dragons. But unfortunately, I was like 2 seconds late and the domain popped on Ling, and I lost my Ling. So that's how that worked. But here I was hopeful that Thorns wasn't in it, but he's barely in it. If you can see it, he's barely in it. It just happened to go on him, and that's kind of frustrating because I lose out on a lot of damage here in a minute because I don't have Ling, and I'm not going to have Thorns here in a minute because when the domain pops, he's going to pop, and it's not going to be very fun. I actually thought he was still alive, or I think I would have retreated him. At least that's the hope. But again, Radiant Knight's going to do her thing, be able to do quite a bit of damage. I didn't even realize that Thorn was in it, and I was like, ah, my Thorns. No, I thought he was going to stay alive. And then again, we're going to do the same thing with the Asserter here. Just be able to smack him down a little bit as we kind of get him going. So this time I was trying to decide whether I wanted him to go out of the domain, because I kind of remembered what I did last time. And I was like, okay, well, I'll just get DP out, and I'll kind of just wait for a couple of seconds and see maybe if I can get him out of the domain. And maybe that'll be better than what I did on my previous run, where I kind of tried to hit him in the domain, and that just didn't work very well. So I was like, okay, now he's out of his domain here in a couple of seconds. I'm going to pop him right, and I'm going to pull Surtur facing up. This was a good idea until it wasn't, because he does a massive amount of damage, ends up getting her procced on her invulnerability, basically. So she's going to die here in a couple of seconds. He's not even out of the domain, and so I screwed up. But I did proc the domain there, so at least I have a little bit of stuff I can kind of do, which unfortunately ends up just being kind of like kind of backpedaling here a little bit, because I was like, ah, shit, I was really hoping that Surtur was going to be able to do enough damage. I should have put her down a couple of tiles, I think, and then faced her up. It would have been a lot better. And then at this point, I'm like, okay, well, I need somebody to do some damn damage, because this guy, I know he stands there for a little bit, but I'm like, okay, maybe if I bait with Blim and Shine over here, I can get enough to get the Silver Ash's skill out, and then I can drone for the heals and stuff like that. I do think that I'm watching it back, I am definitely putting out the drone way too preemptively. I should be kind of waiting on it, but I guess it doesn't matter, because as long as they're in the domain, they're going to die. And then Silver Ash is able to Silver Ash his way to victory here with the Emperor, but I still have to deal with the 5 enemies at the end. But I was at least sighing a little bit of relief there to be like, okay, well, at least I got done with those guys, and now we can kind of restructure a bit. Now, the domain is definitely not in a very good spot for me, but it doesn't necessarily hurt me, because it actually does a little bit towards them as well. So it actually kind of helps out a little bit, kind of where it's structured in the middle, not so much on the sides, because the right side completely doesn't have anything. But now I'm like, okay, now I got to kind of figure out Surtur's in 19 seconds. I'm not in that worst of a setup. I actually have pretty good DP. I put Mudrock in the middle here to help out with Mudrockians. So basically the idea here is actually pretty smart. I should have faced Mudrock down, because I have her facing up. But what I was going to do is I was going to proc her skill 3, have Surtur in the same spot that I had her last time, so facing left towards Mudrock. And then I was going to proc the skill 3. And as they walked and they were getting slowed, Surtur was going to be able to do her ult and ultimately kill them without having anybody to have to block, because initially these guys on the right and left are just going to go straight towards the box, obviously, because nobody's there to block them. I can't block them there anyway because I don't have those tiles. So I thought it was actually kind of a big brain play. Now we are kind of worried about silence here. I think that I just end up droning her and she stays alive, thank God. So we're able to drone her. The guy just keeps kind of walking on. I'm able to proc the DP for Myrtle, kind of thinking about what do I need to do to get rid of these guys. And I'm trying to decide, okay, again, can I have somebody 1v1 these guys? because now they're on the CM, so they're a little bit stronger. And then I go ahead and I proc everything. I do think that Surtur could have went out a little bit earlier, and that would definitely would have helped out a bit. But here we go. We're in the thick of it now. We're getting all the Surtur stuff. Myrtle's about to get her about to get smacked pretty hard. And then I'm pretty sure I get rid of her, and then I put out Blim over there. And then I may put out Heavy Rain, but I'm pretty sure I put out Blim because I think I have enough time for it to go, or maybe I get scared. I'm not really sure. Oh no, I remember what I do. I put out Radiant Knight facing up to block or to stun this guy at the top, because as you can see, he's actually walking a little bit faster, and it would have ended up being the same issue where the guy would have walked past. So I think that I stun it. Actually, I think it was the Mudrock stun. Now that I look at it. Well, my idea in my head was that Radiant Knight was going to do it, but I actually think it was because of the Mudrock stun that he got stunned now watching it back. So anyway, I have Radiant Knight out here to deal with that guy. He's actually going to end up, she's going to end up dying basically, because she can't really 1v1 these guys very well, especially whenever they get to a point where they're below 50% health, because they get that attack bonus. So now we're just kind of like, okay, what do we need to kind of do to deal with this guy? I'm thinking about putting Blim and Shine next to Radiant Knight to kind of help her out. That's what I do. And then I'm like, okay, cool. Now we have that kind of side dealt with a little bit. Radiant Knight is ultimately going to go down. So I'm like, okay, you know what? Maybe I need to kind of worry about getting rid of her here in a minute, because I can't heal her with the drone, which is what I was trying to figure out what to do. But obviously I don't have deployable tiles. The whole Heavy Rain Flametail thing actually lasts for a very long time. That I don't know what's going on with that, but Silence is keeping those two, like they're keeping them alive, and then they're just able to hang out. And then Flametail is just over here kicking ass. So that's basically what happens on the right side. Now I'm trying to think of like, okay, what do I need to do to kind of get everything worked out and see if I can't keep people alive and stuff like that. So right now I'm working on keeping Silver Ash, or like getting Silver Ash and Surtur out. And I'm trying to get enough DP for all of that, because as of right now, the only DP gen I have is Flametail, and my Radiant Knight's about to die. And I'm like, okay, well, I got to get rid of her. I can't keep her, and I need the DP back, because if she dies and I lose that DP, I might end up losing. So now the idea is I have a couple seconds left until the Silver Ash comes out, and here's where chat and I have a huge debacle about what needs to happen with Silver Ash. So a lot of people are saying that I needed to put Silver Ash next to Blimmy facing towards the blue box, which would help out Flametail and Heavy Rain. Well, the issue with that is that the Blim and Shine is going to get one-shotted, and then Silver Ash would also get one-shotted. So I'm trying to make the plea bargain. Me and a couple other of the chatters are like, we have to put him away, because if we put him next to the Blim and Shine, he's going to die. And so I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to put my foot down. I'm just going to do it. So I ended up putting him under the PA, in the pause anyway, like that little tile under PA. And we had a discussion for a very long time, because I was like, damn, maybe you're right, maybe you're not right, I don't know. And then I was like, okay, what's Blim at? So I looked at her health, and I was like, yeah, she's gonna get one-shotted. So I'm gonna put Silver Ash where I think Silver Ash needs to go, pop him there, and I'm gonna pop the drone next to Blimmy. I'm gonna try to keep her alive as long as I can. So that's kind of the idea we go with. And the biggest thing is, like, I'm hoping to be able to get Silver Ash's ability, like his skill, fast enough to be able to deal with just this guy on the left, because the guy on the right is actually being able to be held by these two. Funny enough, they're able to kind of hang out. And so I get Silver Ash's skill, and she dies, which this is when I think that Silver Ash would have got turned around, got punched. And unfortunately, that happened a little bit quicker than I thought. So then I had to get the Loplume out. At this point, he was just going to walk straight into the box, and I wasn't doing enough damage to be able to get him like totally dead. And so I would have ended up losing. And then I put Loplume out just to hold him off for like 2 seconds, because he was literally right there. Like, he was one shot, and then Loplume is basically able to help here, and then we just wait for Surtur. So this is kind of the bread and butter here. On that right side, they're just going to ham. They're going to town on beating this guy. They're not able to do enough damage, so he's not getting buffed up, which is really nice to see. I actually probably at this point could have got rid of Flametail maybe, but then I was like, okay, Surtur's out, and we're just going to do the damage we need to do. I pop Flametail's ult just because of, I don't know, for a meme, I guess. And then we go to town, we kill him, and we end up winning. So yeah, a little bit of a scuffed in on both of these runs, I would say, but ultimately I think that we were pretty good at kind of catching ourselves and being able to recover on a run. Otherwise that would have went down had we not had some fast thinking on some of that stuff. So anyway, guys, make sure to like the video if you guys are enjoying the content, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a good rest of your night, guys. Peace.